Okay, now all the issues should be fixed. There we go. All right, so welcome to the stream, people. Today I'm going to be covering something different. I know usually, oh, I need to rename the stream. Sorry about that as well. Dragonbond. Let's see if I can spell this right. Solo. All right. Not Trials of Fire. Let's put this under board games. All right. So I'm going to do a couple things today. First, I'm going to talk about just a high level for people who aren't familiar with the game. I don't want to bore anybody who has already been following this Kickstarter, um, but I just want to cover sort of what I see as the core features. So let's see, how can I make this bigger? So I'm going to cover some core features. Then I'm going to cover. Then I'm just going to play a solo game. I'm going to play as a dragon this time, I think. And um, basically, sorry, still dealing with one problem. Let's see if I can. Okay, perfect. This is much better. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna play as a dragon this time. Um, Mostly because I think it's a little easier. There's a little less going on for the dragons than there are for the other players, which I think is fine actually. Um, let's see, how can I? I've done this before. I want to pop this out. Pop out. Perfect. This is what I want. So that I'm less distracted by this. Good. Um, so as I'm going, feel free to ask any questions in chat. I'm also going to upload this to YouTube later, so if you're watching this, sorry the production value is kind of rough, but frankly, not too many people watch the videos, so it's just not worth the time to edit. Um, Enough people watch that I'm happy to do them, not enough people that I'm going to spend a crap ton of time editing. So, but any questions I get in chat, I'll read out loud. So if you're watching this later, you shouldn't miss anything. And you can always ask questions in the comments because I check the YouTube video every once in a while. Um, so first, let me go through sort of my high-level stuff. And a quick disclaimer: I'm not paid by them. I am a backer of the Kickstarter for this game, which is live now for anyone unfamiliar with it. Um, but I'm not paid by them. I'm not associated with them. I've played this game once with 3 of my friends and one Faceless, which is what they call the AI players. And my impressions overall were quite positive. So, even though I'm not paid by them, you're probably going to get, overall, I'm going to give a positive opinion of the game because I do like it, and that's why, otherwise I wouldn't be backing it. Um, but I will try to point out anything I think is not as strong as it could be, just so people get, the good and the bad from my perspective, though, spoiler alert, it's mostly good. I quite like this game. So, all right, what are some of the main features? Well, I would call this game like a light war game with high degree of asymmetry. Some of the main games I would compare it to for people who play a lot of board games are probably Mare Nostrum, which is another light war game that I think does a very good job of um, of keeping the game feel like you have a lot of power, but also like the war game is going to end. For anyone who's played a bunch of Twilight Imperium like I have, that game can take like anywhere from 6 to 14 hours to play, even in a tournament. So that can be a bit much for anyone, even the most dedicated of us, especially when you have, other things to do. But basically, the what was I gonna say? But basically, Mare Nostrum actually manages to wrap up, and I think this does a similarly good job at that. Another game I might compare it to is Root, because Root is, essentially a war game with high degrees of asymmetry and different player boards for different characters. The asymmetry is lighter here, but the game also runs more quickly and efficiently. And honestly, I actually prefer this to Root. I think this is up there as one of my favorite Light War games with Mare Nostrum at the moment, though I haven't gotten a ton of plays, so my opinion of it may go up or down a little bit. Um, Root just dragged on a little bit for me, and the asymmetry sometimes added value, and then sometimes I just felt it was kind of a pain to keep track of what everyone was able to do. And I'll talk about some things I think they do well to both make things feel different, but also feel like you don't have to read an essay about every character to understand what other players are doing. Because even though you're only playing a dragon, for example, you still, if you want to play really well, you might want to pay attention to what everyone else can do, right? So having different players be relatively easy to learn, even though they're different, is a pretty big advantage of this game, I feel. Um, so the game, how it works is the game ends when one of three things happens. You get 10 power, which is where you fill up these power tracks on on the boards. Um, you run out of the event deck, which means you've played 6 rounds, or a general is eliminated, which I haven't seen yet. But yeah, if a general is eliminated, that player and any player they're teamed up with can't win, and you just immediately count score as if the event deck had run out. So there's two other endgame triggers where you have to count points, but the one game I've played so far ended via points. I wouldn't be surprised though if this solo play ends via rounds, and you'll see why in a bit. Um, I like the power mechanic a lot as far as the victory condition. There are several ways for players to gain power, and they always increase your power. And even if there's ways to stop people from winning by taking their power, but it doesn't just destroy their power usually, unless they get killed by neutral units, which is very rare. Um, but basically, if you're attacking someone else who's about to win, you're stealing their power. The reason this is so important is because there's some war games where you can just go on and on and on, killing each other's stuff, and you will never see your family again. Basically, like Risk, you can just fight and fight and fight, and it can take forever for someone to win because it's a tug of war. Here, there is like certain amounts of tug of war type things, like for the generals trying to control land. Land is definitely going to help you win. On the other hand, the victory points are always increasing. Even Twilight Imperium has this, and that's why it at least always eventually ends. You're always gaining points. It's really, really important that there's end game conditions that are always creeping up on you. Generals dying doesn't really become that much more likely as time goes on, but certainly winning by the event deck or winning by 10 points you're continually building towards that. So that is one thing I like about the game. I also like that they have special cards to be able to play called your Valaa deck right here. Um, and these cards have special powers. Here I'll show one off because I have to shuffle these decks later anyways. So basically, this is representative of power, and you have to spend your points to do the effect if you want to play this card, but you're not losing the points. What happens is you get these points, and when you get them initially, they're flipped to this side, which means you can still use them for their power. And when you want to play a card, you have to flip a number of ready ones to their expense side. So I would need to flip 2 of my ready power tokens to spend. These never get unspent. So you sort of have this there's a limit to how much vol you can spend, but everybody is steadily gaining it over the game, and it's really elegant because you don't have to have some other stack of tokens or anything. You're naturally gaining it by going for points, so you don't have to choose, do I want points or do I want Valaa to play cards? You'll get both. As you get points, you get Valaa. So I think that the way Valaa works is pretty elegant, reduces the number of components. It's a nice touch. These Valaa cards add to the asymmetry because the 5 cards are different for every, not just different roles, but different players of the same role. So 2 dragons have totally unique Valaa decks. And this is a very nice piece of asymmetry. You draw enough Valaa cards that you can sort of reliably get most of the cards in your deck eventually, which I think is kind of nice. Because it means if there's one card you really like in the deck, you might not get it exactly when you want it, but you'll probably get it eventually. So you can plan around it to a certain degree, but it also forces you to adapt. It's a good mix of the two. There's also not, because there's only 5 cards, if you really want to play competitively this game, like me and my friends can get quite competitive if we keep playing a game over and over and over, it doesn't feel overwhelming to have a general idea of what's in people's Valaa deck, like remembering that Magnifix is a card that can kill all units in a space. Remembering that is not overly taxing. Um, all right, so that is another thing I like. I think the Valaa deck is a really cool bit of asymmetry that doesn't go too far. Um, Another thing is basically the core mechanic of the game is building this action deck. So I think I'm going to start playing very soon and explain things as I go so that the game keeps moving. I'm going to play Fulgen, which means that all the other player boards get flipped to their other side, and this is the AI side for them. Um, so I just find on like Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia, things are a bit fiddly. This is another reason I want to play a dragon is there's more components to move around. In real life, that's fine with me. But on Tabletop Sim, when I'm playing by myself, it's just sort of a slightly more relaxing experience. Easy to know I didn't forget to do anything when I don't have to manage as many virtual components. So I'll talk about this upgrade deck later. I'm not usually you draw 6 cards from this every round and then shuffle them back in. I'm not actually going to touch this or the location deck because those are general specific, though I will explain them at some point. Once the general starts doing their things, I'll explain how Faceless are different than real players in these ways. Um, so the thing I really like, let's see. So I'm just going to, I draw this all to hand. This is going to be my hand. Everybody has their full action card, all their action cards as hands, and every action card has glyphs on it. So you'll notice this one has 2 glyphs. It has the Horde glyph and the Valaa glyph. So what these do are explained on your player board, and if you look at a player, generals have all the same glyphs. They're named different things, but they're all the same icons, and they do roughly equivalent things. The swords is an attack. How the attack works is a little bit different because you have units, but it's an attack, right? So when you see someone's glyph come up, you basically know what they're doing. If you switch to a different player type, you basically have a rough idea of what these icons are meant to do, even though they don't do exactly the same thing anymore, which is awesome. Makes it much easier to go from character to character than in a game like Root. Um, where I felt like, they're very different in Root, but also sometimes I'm like, does this difference actually add any gameplay like layer? And sometimes I just don't feel they add enough to be worth the amount of effort they are to learn. So yeah, I think that is done really well here. Okay, um, so at the start of each round, so I'm always first player in games with AI players. There's the first player token is always with human players. So in a solo game, I'm always going to have initiative. So how the round goes is I'm going to place a single event card to start the action stack. And then I'm going to play one of my action cards. I'm going to play Arcane Wrath to the deck. God, I really don't like Tabletopia's stacking mechanics. Okay, I like it better on TTS, but personal preference and has nothing to do with the actual Kickstarter. Okay, so now how AI players work is they play randomly to this stack. So I take one from them in player order, add them to the stack, and I'm actually just going to pass. So on your turn, if you've played, this is actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about the rulebook as well. And I'll even, you know what, I'll bring it up and I'll show what I mean on some of these things. So let's bring up the beta rulebook. Because overall I want to talk about like I said, I feel positively about the game, but I think it would be disingenuous for me to say that the rulebook is perfect. It's not. I think it's very, very good for a beta rulebook. I'm very happy with it. I've seen games deliver with much worse rulebooks, and I think anything that is currently a problem could easily be FAQ'd and it would be acceptable to me. But because they're showing us this now, I can't guarantee, but I'm hopeful, especially because I've been giving them a lot of feedback, and I think other people will as well over time. There's still some time from printing this. So I'm hopeful that they won't even need a big FAQ. But one thing to notice is that when you pass, there's no actual restriction on passing. Let's see, this continues till a player chooses to pass by not placing a card into the action stack. Each player places an action from their hand on the action stack in this way. Blah, blah. This continues until a player chooses to pass. This is ambiguous on whether you actually have to play a card to the action stack to pass, right? It feels like I could just start this round and immediately pass. That's not how it works. I've talked to them. You have to play at least one card each before you can pass. So, right, those are the types of things that are problems in the rulebook right now. They're really detail-oriented things that once someone clarifies them, you immediately sort of remember it because honestly, it's sort of intuitive that that's how it should work. Um, but I'm very nitpicky about those sort of details, so I'm hoping that they will fix some of those. But yeah, you have to play at least one card before you can pass. Okay, now that I've passed, I add another event card to the top of the stack. I select these, and I flip them. Now we resolve all of these in order from first in, forced out. This is actually very similar to another excellent war game called Forbidden Stars, I think. It's a 40k based Warhammer 40k based space combat game. They do an action stack like this. It's an awesome mechanic. I think it's used very well here. In there, I believe it's a first in, last out system. So the first cards played are the last resolved in the round. Here it's first in, first out, which is way more intuitive, honestly. Um, all right, so the first thing is place a neutral unit in each empty or neutral region. Okay, easy enough. Most of these place power on the board, which is what you're fighting over. But even when there's no power on the board, I saw someone in the Kickstarter comments, I don't know if they've played the game or not, but they were sort of seemed worried about what if there's no power on the board. It does happen. Like here, first card of the game. There's no power on the board for this whole round. That's one of the reasons I passed early, because I don't feel like I have a ton of information, and I don't want the AIs to just gain power when I don't know where I should be going to get power. So when there's no power on the board, first of all, you can just keep passing. So you're not even taking very many turns. The other thing is both generals and dragons do have something to do. Dragons, as I'll show you in a sec, can gain power from fighting. So now I'm going to resolve my Wrathcliff, and then and generals, they gain power by owning land, essentially. When the power spawns, they can only get power from places they control. So they're motivated to control as much of the map, even when there's no power on the board. For me, though, I'm going to resolve Wrath and then Volaglyphs, okay? So Wrath says you may move to an adjacent region and initiate combat in your region. So I will move to here because I want to be adjacent to many regions where power might come up next round so that I can get to it and harvest it. And then I check the leftmost box on my wound track. This is how dragons calculate their combat power, and see the number of combat dice I get. So here, the leftmost uncovered space, I am not wounded, so it's 4 dice. So I roll 4 combat dice, and these have misses, hits, and crits. So I rolled 4 hits and no crits. If I'd rolled any crits, they would be resolved right now and kill the defenders before they can fight back. At this point, the defender can decide if they want to retreat or not. Neutral units and faceless players never retreat. So there's going to be the only person who's going to be retreating this game is me. If they retreated, they would not take any of these hits. It's very important. But if they decide to fight back, then they're going to take 4 hits. But before they do, they roll a die for each of their units. So here he's got 2, so he's going to roll 2 dice. Oh, and I take 2 crits. So crits and hits are basically the same for a defender. But yeah, unfortunately, I am quite unlucky, and I take 2 hits. So my combat power, the first uncovered space, is going to be, it's hard to see, it's 3. His advantage over the other dragon, one of them, is that he has more wounds on the track. A disadvantage, though, is the other dragon has less wounds, but he has 2 4s. Wouldn't have helped me here, though. So it's better actually to be this dragon when you take 2 wounds. So I have 3 combat power left for future combats, but I now deal my 4 hits, now that he's rolled his defense. And I throw these away. Actually, I don't throw them away. I'm a dragon, so when I kill units, I place them on this track that I can't remember the name of. Let me look it up, just so I'm calling things by their correct essence track. Right. And when I get 3 essence, I get power. So even though dragons don't benefit from gaining control of land masses, when there's no power on the board, they can just get power by eating stuff. So they don't care. Good. So the next thing I need to resolve is the Volaglyph, which is to play or draw a Vala card. I don't have any Vala cards in hand, so I better just draw one. I don't even have any power to play one. What did I get? I think I might have forgotten to shuffle because the AI don't use theirs. So let's try that again. Enforced Honor. During this round, dragons may only attract dragons and units may only attack units. A very good card in certain situations. You can actually shoot yourself in the foot with it though, because if you can't fight units, you can't get power via the essence track. So you want to be a little bit careful about that sometimes. Alright, now to resolve AI players. Okay, he deploys. Unless I'm mistaken, deploy is going to create units in uncontrolled regions next to him. Then it moves the general between Tiverian regions. And then if no units were placed, I place 3 units. So here is the Faceless players. Spoiler alert, the Faceless players are one of my least favorite things in the game. I think they are totally serviceable, and one of my favorite things about them is they are very easy to manage. Complex AI systems can feel more like a chore and like doing taxes than they're worth. Here, I think the AI don't act super intelligently. We'll see how it works in the game. I'm going to play rules basically as written this game. Um, but honestly, if I had to choose between them playing slightly more intelligently and being harder to run and what they are now, I much prefer what they are now. I think there are some small tweaks they could do that wouldn't make them any more complicated and still make them play a little more intelligently. But honestly, I'd rather they just not be overly cumbersome to manage. Okay, so that was the deploy for Tiberia. There's no focused region yet. Focused region is where there is the most power because they want to go get power like everybody else. This goes back into his stack. If I can ever get it to do that. Come on. There we go. For my own sanity, I should probably just rotate this object. That'll be so much easier for me. Right. Okay, perfect. Much, much better. Okay, so this guy is going to soar. Oh, I moved the wrong dragon. Pfft. Sorry. That's my mistake. I should have moved to here, so this place would still have 2. Um, good, 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 good. Okay, so he's going to soar. What that does is, if Magnifix is in the focused region, collect 1 power instead, otherwise move 2 towards the focused region. The focused region is the one with the most power, so actually, ties are broken by the closest, so he's actually in the focused region and gains the power, which is unfortunate for me. The Valaa glyph says heal 1 wound if possible, spend 1 power. If that power was spent, move him 1 towards the focused region. I can't. So this is one of the small things that I think needs to be tweaked. It says heal 1 wound, then if possible, spend 1 power. Technically, it's possible to spend 1 power, so I would spend it. If that power was spent, move Magnifix 1 region towards the focused region, which is his own region, so he wouldn't move. That's one of those weird things that I think needs to be clarified. He probably shouldn't, if he's in the focused region, it doesn't really make sense for him to spend a power. Rules as written say that he should spend a power right now because it says, if possible, spend a power. So the first check is checking if it's possible to spend a power. So I'm going to just do rules as written and I'm going to spend the power. There's some clarifications I still haven't gotten about AI because I did ask 1 or 2 that haven't been resolved recently. But they get to questions very quick, so I suspect it will be soon. So these are some small things that I think could just be reworded to make a little more sense because this is an example of the AI just being kind of dumb. And it's not any more complicated to just say, if Magnifix isn't in the closest region and has 1 power, spend 1 power and move 1 towards the closest region. Solved. Problem solved. Just a rewording, not any more complicated. They act less stupid. Okay, so he spends his power and does nothing. That's fine. I think that's something that will not be there when this game delivers, but I make no promises because I'm not them. All right, this is also a deploy action, same as Tiberia, which is purple. So he's also going to deploy 3 units. This is another example of them acting silly, is you get a bonus when you have 3 of the same unit. Sorry, 1 of each unit. Sorry, my mic was very unhappy with me for a minute. Let's double check that this is not totally broken. Is it working? Yes, good. Sorry about that, but I'd rather take 2 seconds to double check my equipment than realize my recording is totally useless for YouTube later. So let's see. Right, so when they add units, they don't try and create as many triples as possible. If you have a sword, archer, and cavalry, then you get +1 die in combat for generals. So honestly, they should try and make that. It's kind of weird that they don't. So I think that's something that would make sense, is that whenever possible, they're trying to make those sets of 3. Um, okay, so now they've both made 3 infant, but I'm playing rules as written. If I have time, I'm going to play another solo game with some rules tweaked to what me and some friends discussed after our game, and see how it goes. But right now, not so much. Okay, that is the round except for this. Each player may take a Valaa action, then the player with the initiative token starts. That's excellent for me. These guys need to spend 2 power to trigger their Valaa action, and this guy needs to spend 1. So they do nothing. And I will pick to draw a card. So that is a free Valaa card for me. This is a very good one. This is another one that I think needs some small clarification. It says roll 2 dice and deal that many wounds to each force and dragon in a region adjacent to a mountain. Okay, but like I'm adjacent to a mountain right now. Do I hit myself with my own geomancy? That seems wrong. It's also unclear if dragons are units. So like there's very small details like this that I think could use some clarification. All of these could be FAQ'd away, but I want to accurately represent the game as it is in this beta form, rather than just because there are some Kickstarters, they're rough around the edges and the developers don't care and they just kind of launch it because they don't, once the Kickstarter's over, they just don't feel that motivated. I do not get that sense from this company, um, but I don't want to be inaccurate about exactly how the game is right now. But yeah, so right now this doesn't say excluding yourself, so technically you can geomancy yourself, which seems weird. Like it kind of can be okay, but I'm playing rules as written, so I'm going to play it like that because it says dragons and I'm a dragon. So I better run away from some mountains if I'm going to cast that. All right, so that was the round. We got no Valaa out, so what I'm probably going to play this next round relatively quickly as well, because this dragon can gain power a little more easily than I can when there's no real board state. So I don't want that to be the case. Um, I think I'm probably still willing to fight with this many wounds. So I think next round I'm probably going to basically do the same thing. Let's play Arcane Wrath. This is another piece of asymmetry. The other dragon does not have an Arcane Wrath. They have an Arcane Horde and they have an Arcane Soar. So there's a little bit of asymmetry there, but it's very easy to remember. I've shuffled all these decks already, I believe, so let's top all these off. Oh my god. And when I complain about tabletop, honestly, I think this is a relatively well-made thing, and I sort of like that it's here instead of Tabletop Simulator, because then it's free for anyone to try, which is really nice of them. On the other hand, I'm still not totally used to the interface. So any complaints about that are more a small Tabletopia complaint than anything else. Okay, now I'm going to pass, and let's see what happened. Okay, still no power. Each player may take a soar action. That sucks for me. That sucks for me because they're going to get 3 more units. This is like how the AI work. They just like make a doom stack in their home region and in like one other region maybe. Um, and yeah, that's the AI general's lives. They just make doom stacks is my current experience with them. Doom stack is like a total warhammer sort a total war term when you like stack up a million units in one army, million powerful units. Okay, he gets a soar action, which is he moves towards the power region, or he just gains power if he's already in it, which kind of sucks. Is it gains it from the board, or collect 1 power instead? That's a little interesting, because this says collect power. You know, I should double check, because it may be that he does nothing, now that I think about this. Collect, is that a keyword? It is not a keyword. I think that should be a keyword. What does it mean exactly to collect? Does it mean it has to be on the board? Um, let's look at the Essence track. I want the glyphs. Collect power from the board. So it sort of seems to imply that they're actually not so. I think I may have misplayed this, but once again, this is something that could be clarified. I think you could just write collect power from the region would be more specific. Because this one says collect from their new region, collect one power instead. This doesn't say from the region, so I'm not 100% sure that means from the region, but I think that's what's intended. So I'm actually going to put these back. So I think he does nothing, um, which kind of makes more sense, honestly. If he could just generate power out of nothing, it'd be a little weird. I don't even think it would make him too powerful, frankly, because I think the AR aren't super strong at the moment. Um, do I even want to move? That's another really good question. Sort of ambivalent. I'm gonna move here, I guess. Just to not be adjacent to the generals. That's where I was gonna move when I attacked. But oh, I go first anyways, so yeah, it doesn't matter. So they don't soar. These guys each should get 3 units. Did I give them their 3? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes. So still bad for me, but at least this dragon isn't gaining random power. So I move here. I fight with 3 dice. 2 crits. Oh, that's very fortunate. Okay. That made this super worthwhile. I'm going to keep one of these guys. So 3 of them. I'm going to lock my board so that I don't accidentally... Oh, come on. Is there the undo mechanic in this game? Nope. Jesus Christ. Yeah, see, I don't know the interface as well. Is there no back button? Seriously? Oh, I didn't lock the board. I locked this stupid wound token. That's why this is all messed up. Ugh, Jesus. So frustrating. I hate playing board games online sometimes. Why is Control Z not back? Okay, you go there. You go there, I guess. Please. Everything go back to where you're supposed to be. Okay, there should be 1 on the Essence track. 3 of these should go away to this bag. These can come to here. Okay, we're back on track. And then I gain 1 power for completing my Essence track. So that's how Essence track works, to gain power. Then they don't get to combat back because I got 2 crits. They're all dead by the time it's supposed to be their roll. I'm going to draw a Valaa card. I still can't play a Valaa card. This is what I mean. If you're playing the right card, you'll get your Valaa cards pretty quick. This is a really cool one. Place 3 neutral units in an uncontrolled or neutral region. Useful both for denying generals regions, though it's not very good at denying these guys regions because their stacks are so freaking large. Another good use of it is you can essentially gain a power off it by playing 3 units to a region and then destroying them all. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, that's me. Let's put this back in hand. They deploy again. Okay, very useless thing to do. Yeah, this is my concern with the AI. Like, I'm just gonna gain slow power, but honestly, they're gonna gain, like, they're gonna look scary but do nothing, these generals. I'm not gonna even give them enough time in the game to, like, do anything, I think. That's not, like, either, that's also not a, he soars, which literally is still do nothing. Um, and she fights. Okay, here is a weird one. Um, I'm going to play rules as written for this as well, which is super strange. Place an Alaria unit in the general's region. Fine. Move the general to the adjacent region closest to the focus region. That region is the battlefield. Move all but one Alarian unit from each region adjacent to the battlefield. To the battlefield to the battlefield is a repeat, so this is just straight up a typo. Once again, all beta. I do expect these things to change, but I'm going to point them out because they're there right now. Just is what it is. Initiate combat in the battlefield. The super strange thing about this is if you're in the focused region, you'll actually leave, right? Because you're move the general to the adjacent region closest to the focus region because it's only counting adjacent regions as possible targets and it tells you to move to one. So basically, if they were already in the focus region, they would move like all their troops out of the focus region and just attack something. Chosen by the player who has the initiative because they break ties for the AI. Doesn't really make much sense if they're in the focused region and it has actual focus in it. They should maybe just collect it because they're not that good at gaining points right now. Also, the fact that they take all their units with them when they do stuff, if they left half their units, first of all, there's two problems. One, that means they're never going to have sets of 3 as defenders. Um, and you can leave behind what you want as the player. So I can break up their sets of 3. Like, I'm going to make him leave behind his only cavalry. Because why not? Now he has no sets of 3. It just makes his army strictly weaker. So let's move everything but the cavalry to... I pick the region. I'm just going to have him go onto a peninsula. Get away from me. I don't want to deal with you. So yeah, I'm not making good AI that are also easy to run. It's like asking for like a cheap contractor to do excellent work on your house. You know, you're sort of asking for the world. There are ways, and I'm not going to make excuses for them, but it is not. It's very very hard to make really good AI. But honestly, I think this one can be improved without making them more complicated. And this is not the sort of game I would usually play solo that much anyways. Okay, 2 crits. He rolls 1 die per unit. +1 for sets of 3, but he has no sets of 3. I also forgot to put 1 unit in his region at the beginning, so he should get an extra archer. Okay, these 2 die. Controls an extra region now. Good for you. But I do love that everything plays fast. Finally, we get to see where some power is going. I'm not in luck. There's power where the other dragon is, which is sort of a pain. Um, he may collect it before I can. These should come unflipped. I don't know why the bag works that way. That's a scripting problem. It has nothing to do with the actual game. Um, oh, that's bad for me. I can't get here easily. I would love to beat the general here instead of going after the dragon because he's going to collect more easily. Um, I'm going to be in trouble if he initiates combat with me. That's going to be the most annoying thing. Uh, that could possibly happen. But I think I just have to accept the risk and go for the power. There's a decent chance I'm going to get the power before he can. So we're going to try that. Okay, the next round. I don't really want to Arcane Wrath because he's stronger than me right now. I see no reason to start a fight if I don't have to. So let's just go with... Let's go with Soar. Hmm. The other thing is I could bet on being adjacent to another region that's going to get power. If any of these gain power, then I could just go harvest there instead. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Arcane Wrath and go to a different region than that dragon. Try and clear the region to get a power for killing. And also clear out that region to harvest power from it in a minute. Then these guys play randomly. There's other things too, like what if a card does nothing? Maybe you should just draw one of the leftover cards, right? Like when I draw a card and it would do nothing, couldn't you just have a rule where they just draw a different card? Because they're too stupid to know that that card is useless. So I pass because I don't have information as to whether I'm actually going to be able to hoard something, so I want to know that for certain before I play it. Okay, it's good I did what I did because I can't actually reach a focused region right now. Okay, so that's going to put power with this general. So far, I'm having quite an unlucky game, but I think we can make it work. I'm going to go towards Oriashi Jungles and fight those guys. It's frustrating because I need to heal soon, but one of my Valaa cards heals me, so I should just be able to heal off the Valaa card and not care so much about healing other ways. I roll 3. I got 1 crit, so 1 immediately dies. The other rolls combat against me, which is, it's okay. It's not the worst thing that could have happened. 1 crit, so I'm going to take a wound. I believe that drops my Nope, my combat power is still 3. Then I am a happy camper. I'm going to fight again. So you keep fighting until somebody retreats or is eliminated. Really? Okay, 1 hit, so he gets another roll. Yeah, another hit. That's bad. Okay. This goes to my essence track, but my essence track will fill up from it. So let's lock the player board this time as I initially intended. Oops. Come on. Good, and I get another power. So I'm keeping up on power, and I should get ahead as soon as I can take this region. I will draw a Valaa card because I need my healing card. Got it. Take this back to hand. Good for you. You get more troops. You know, they were saying sometimes they act more intelligently than other times, which I could believe. But I feel like probability says they're going to act 70% stupid and 30% smart right now. And you can act 100% smart, which even though they get units and stuff faster, even though they sort of cheat at some things, they don't cheat enough to be a threat from my current experience. But you know, the developers have many, many more plays, so take what I have to say for granted a little bit. Okay, combat. Then initiate if did not move and did not initiate combat, collect 1 power. This is much better worded. It also, though it says collect 1 power, if there's no power on the board, does he still collect a power? I have no idea. Because some specifically say from a region. So I'm gonna, but this one has it, so I don't have to worry about that right now. He gets a power. Thank God. Okay, good for Magnifix. Okay, so this is exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about. She's now going to move. By rules as written, she moves to the to an adjacent region that is closest to the focus region, which is actually her own, and initiates combat there, but there's nothing to initiate combat with. So she just moves there and does nothing. You know, once again, these sort of things that I'm complaining about, they're easy to fix. I'm going to play things as they're written, but I think some of these are easily fixable issues. Okay, I need to check for a Dragonbond. So adjacent dragons adjacent to generals need to check for Dragonbond. I'll roll for myself first. I get a hit. If he also rolls a hit, then we're bonded, but I don't really want to be bonded, so I might avoid that. Nope, thank God. No bond. That's how this event works. It forces rolls for dragon bonding with dragons and generals in adjacent regions if they're unbonded. Okay, so this is not an amazing situation for me to be in. I want to go here and kill these two. I have a slight advantage, but not a huge one. And then I'm probably just going to play Mending to heal. So I think the thing to do is to play Arcane Wrath and just hope that I can win with 2 dice against 2 dice. If I can't, things are going to be a bit unfortunate. Um, Odds are in my favor. Fighting slightly favors the attacker because of crits, the way that crits work. Um, do I want to play another card this round? I think I actually do. I'm going to Arcane Horde this round. Might be a mistake. Might be better just to Horde next round. I think it is. Okay, I'm going to pass. Reason is because I want as much information about where I should be going next as possible, I think. Um, they now have power to gain, so I just want to like hurry the game up because I'm ahead and I'm probably going to stay ahead. So I think I basically just want to end the game on time. If I'm like I like to try and play optimally, even though this is sort of like an unnatural way to play. If we're playing with players, there's going to be a lot of times where you do want to keep playing cards because every turn you take as an extra turn, all your opponents get to take. Um, so if you think you have a better turn than them, you should play, or a similarly good turn, then you should play and force them to be the ones passing. Otherwise, yeah. Anyways, we had a lot of variation in round length when I played an actual game with two other people. Here, I just don't feel very motivated to draw the game out. Okay, so they get more power in very favorable regions for them. That should hopefully make them stronger, because I'm interested to see them do better to some degree. That only makes me want to hurry the game up even more. Then I Wrath over to here. I roll 2 dice. Please give me a crit. Oh, double crit. That's a very favorable combat for me. These guys. Oh, hello, dice. Forgot to unselect you guys. I get 2 to my essence track. Um, hmm. Okay, I get 2 to my essence track. And then. What's. Oh, Valaa card, right, of course. Then I will absolutely play Mending to heal 3. I'll just keep them next to my player board. I might need them later. Mending goes to a discard. When I run out of Valaa cards, I shuffle this discard and get stuff back. All right, that's good for me. Really, I swear to God, I'm shuffling this every time, guys. This guy has really bad luck. What on earth? Is shuffling working? Are you serious? Because they both had this exact same card last time, I think. Oh, he has 2 rats. So, okay, I guess this is, that's the weird thing about probability. Sometimes probability just does the same thing over and over. That's what it means for something to be random. Is like you're not going to get even distributions on things. So I know I shuffled these decks. I'm pretty sure I shuffled them twice. So like when I put the card back and before I drew from it. This guy just collects 1 power. He's doing better than anybody else. Good for him. Initiate. This really needs to collect power. This is why I might play another solo where I fix things because I want to show you guys there's hope for this system. This is literally the closest region. I could make him go this way, but actually, yeah. Let's see. How do generals collect essence? I think um, for each region that doesn't contain your dragon, collect power equal to the number of Larian units. If no power is collected, place between. I don't really want them to spread out. I'm fine with them collecting the power in these 2 regions. That's 4 power. I'll be able to beat that before the end. But I think if I send her back to the peninsula, she's basically never going to get anywhere else this game. So I think she will get this 4 power and nothing else. So I'm cool with that. 4 is the number to beat for her. She initiates a combat that does literally nothing. Okay. Two there, two there. Okay, that's fine. Oop, that's not what I want. Okay, next round. Let's shuffle all these again. I know I shuffled the purple one, so let's just shuffle mine. Now I'm going to Horde, Arcane Horde. Oh, I haven't placed an event card for the round yet. Yeah, see, I feel like this solo game is not making it look as fun as it is because these people aren't playing very well. But like, if these were humans, this game is so interesting. They're so dynamic. There's really interesting asymmetries between having these. One thing I want to point out about generals that's completely absent from their faceless players. I think it's, to be fair, I do not think faceless players should upgrade units. I think it's good that they strip down the mechanics for faceless players but they do need to do what they do a little more intelligently. So upgrade cards are a really cool mechanic that I just want to explain because I think they're awesome. You get these upgrade cards. The rulebook doesn't break down their anatomy well at all. I really think there should be an example, and I hope there will be in the final version, of breaking down the anatomy. The top is where you can get this unit. This is what type of unit this upgrade can go on to. So infantry. This is the name of the unit, which is just flavor. And this is their ability text, which is not flavor. That's very important. That's what they allow that unit type to do from now on. Really cool piece of asymmetry. And it really makes the factions feel super different because the places you need to control to get these units, this is not obvious when you first look at the game, is based on there's half the deck is in Fey Woods, Alaria, um, and this place, the Wild Wilderlands. Um, so those ones are kind of her upgrade cards. And then there's 3 upgrade cards associated with Orishi Jungles, North Tiberia, and Trade Roads, which are sort of Tiberia's upgrade cards. So these are even more asymmetrical than they look like just from Valaa cards and the fact that they have different arcane cards. They are super different mostly due to these. There's also another mechanic they don't use that, once again, I don't think they should use it because it's good to simplify the AI. Um, is as a human player, your motivation to take places is not just to get essence from them, but you get these cards every round based on what you own. And when you resolve them, this is how you upgrade units, is the first glyph. This is how you recruit units, is the second glyph. And the third one builds a city, which is how you travel on water and defend some of your regions more successfully. A really cool thing about these, though, is they're not player associated. So when you play this to the deck, you probably control it. But if somebody steals this region from you and you no longer own it when the card resolves, you don't get to resolve it. Whoever owns it gets to resolve it, which is either the enemy general or neutral region, or neutral troops get reinforced there. So it's a really cool, like, should I play this, but I might not own it by the time it resolves sort of mechanic, and I really, really like it. They're missing from the solo game, which I think is fine, but I want to point them out because I want to do this game justice, and I think it is excellent. Okay. Um, let's see. So I'm there. I resolve new power. I'm going to hoard, which for me is collect a power if it's uncontrolled. That's why I want to kill those neutral units so badly, is I get 2 power. So I get both of these power, which is awesome if I can click them. And then I get a Valaa card because I don't. Do I want to play a Valaa card? Um, it's sort of tempting to play Inspiration to repopulate South Tiberia. Actually, I think I will do that. I will play Inspiration instead of drawing a card so that I can Wrath over to... Oh, the other thing I forgot to resolve in Horde. Sorry. Heal 1 wound. If I spend a power, heal an additional. I only need to heal 1, so I heal that. I'm going to pay 1 as play Inspiration and place 3 neutral units in South Tiberia because that's basically, as far as I'm concerned, a free power. Sorry. This headset keeps shutting itself off for some reason, especially when I do stream. I don't understand it. It's fine though. Okay, so I'm going to place these three here. If I get wounded, who cares? I'm going to need to hoard again soon, and that will heal me automatically. I also have that mending card, which is super useful. So I'm just going to fight those guys. I'm going to bully them. I don't care. Um, I just resolved my card. Did I not play any cards for them? I didn't. Okay, so next should be purple. Last should be this. I'm just building the stack backwards because I messed up. What are you doing? Harvest! Awesome. So he's going to gain 2 power. He gets power for each unit he has. This is another region I don't understand why they move their whole... He doesn't need this many troops to take over a region. Why doesn't he just move half? If he moves with half his army rounded up, that's already a crazy strong force. And the other thing is, if he leaves only 1 unit behind, when he harvests, he's only getting one of the 2 power that often spawns in these regions. So it's just like, I really feel they should leave half of their stuff behind rounded down, not take basically everything with them because it doesn't really help them. Kind of just shoots them in the foot. So he gains 2 power. Good for him. Um, he moves towards the... His was a attack cliff, so he's going to move here and initiate combat. So he's doing something pretty intelligent right now, which is nice. I do like when they do smart things. He gets 3 crits. They're super dead. This dragon might be the one to beat. We'll see. Um. Ah, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I move them back. This needs to be eroded. Yep. Every time I do this, I just need to remind myself, this is a beta. I do not think this will stay exactly as it is. And like I said, I do think the changes can be small ones and have a major impact still. But this kind of behavior, I think, can be easily rectified. Okay, good job, Ilaria. You tried hard. A for effort, Ilaria. Okay, Magic in the Mountains, we put a bunch in the middle, which is excellent for me, because then I can harvest the region I would like to take over next round. I'm basically going to get 2 power from that region, 1 from killing all the guys there. How close am I to game end? 3. Oh, I messed up somewhere, didn't I? Shoot. What did I mess up? Sorry. Too focused on commentating, not focused enough on playing correctly. It's my fault. Dragonbond was at the end of a round, so it should have been this, and then this should have been the end of this round, right? Dragonbond was end of round 3, right? This is round 4, because let's count my moves. I've only done 1 move per round. Here an attack, round 1. Round 2 was here an attack. Round 3 was this. Round 4 was this. No, this is round 5. This is actually round 5. So I missed a card resolution. Um, so these Magic in the Mountain things should have been here at the start of the round. Okay, this is actually very easy to fix because it wouldn't have changed anything. And this is place 2 power tokens in Upper Primilion range and South Tiberia. Okay. Super easy to fix. Good. Okay, this is going to be the board state. Okay, worst case scenario for me. This is the last round. So I actually win. Almost guaranteed. I'm not even gonna harvest this spot because I'm just gonna play Arcane Wrath. Um, I don't really think there's any point in me playing a card. I don't really need to. I think I've basically already won. I need to kill those 3 units, get 1 power, and then I'm at 5. And all anyone else can gain is get up to is 4. This guy could gain 2, and this guy could gain 3. But they're so like if they'd left a unit behind, they could gain 4, but they didn't. I pass because I don't even care to harvest this power. I don't even need to. I could gain 2 more power by doing our Arcane Horde action. But what's the point? Okay, so this is going to spawn extras here. No one has a chance of getting these really. So move here. Hit 4/4. No crits, but I'm going to kill all of them, which is all I need because I just need the power. I don't care how many ones I take. I take 3. Took a beating. I could play a Valaa card, but like, why? I guess I'll play Enforced Honor. So, and then I need 1 power from the bag for filling up my Essence track, which I'll also spend because I need 2 to play Enforced Honor, and these 3 guys are dead. Okay, he's gonna recruit and then do a Valaa action, which he can actually do. Spend 2 power, move Tiberian General directly to the focused region. Then place 3 Tiberian units. So he's just gonna teleport, but like he'll go here basically because it has 3 power and it's close to him. And he'll make units, which I'm not even gonna bother resolving because the game is basically over. The dragon picks up 1 from his region, which is reasonable. She does literally nothing again because she has no idea what she's doing. See, there's no subtext. It's already long text. That's probably one of the reasons they didn't do it, but I think it's quite necessary. And then initiate a battle action for everybody. Okay. That's bad for me because this guy is going to get a free power from it. But nobody else is going to get power. They're just going to attack things, random things on the board. I could attack nothing. I really have nothing to attack except this dragon. So the thing I could do is I could attack this dragon and try and steal power, but like I don't need to. So I just skip my turn. I'll move here. Who cares? Right. So this makes everybody do a battle action. That's why he collected a 2nd power. But I have 5 power, so I win. Ties are also broken by player with initiative. So even if he had 5 power, I'd win anyways. Okay, cool. So that was pretty fast. Um, you can see why I think the AI just needs some tweaks. Overall, the way they work makes a lot of sense. Their current setup makes sense. Playing cards randomly, um, and doing their actions based on glyphs and getting points like players, and skipping certain things like the Valaa cards, the um, the place cards, and the upgrade cards. All of this I totally agree with. I just think right now how they resolve the glyphs exactly and like not having enough alternatives to do something smart when they're clearly doing something stupid is not how that should work. So yeah, let's reset the board and go again. I win. This sort of thing just can't happen as easily. So I want to point out this feels, first of all, I like that the game can run efficiently and quickly. This is quicker though than with other players. One of the reasons is because let's say you're the leader, so you want to pass and try and win in the way I'm doing. First of all, other people are gaining power much more intelligently. Second of all, um, if you pass when you have initiative, you have to give that to somebody else. Um, I can see that causing a little bit of an issue to some degree if you're dragon bonded with another player because you can give them first player, so your team essentially always goes first, which is not ideal in my mind. Um, but especially while you're solo, the system mostly works in the sense of if you're in the lead and you're trying to pass, then when you have the first player token and you pass and you have to give it to somebody else, you kind of lose a turn. You kind of lose a turn every other round. So yeah, they may need to tweak how much it hurts to be the person passing. I think I see why they did some games when you pass, everybody else gets 1 more turn, or you skip a turn, lose a turn essentially to pass, I think that might be a little too harsh and might make the game drag on much longer than it needs to. To just like, because then you're really disincentivized from passing and everyone's going to play all their cards every round. And that's really not how the game's meant to be played. You should not be playing all your cards every round. But I'm interested to see uh, over time if this is going a little too fast. Right now, though, I'm quite happy with it in human player games where we had rounds that went with one card, we had rounds that went with two or three cards, and we had a round that went with like five or six cards. Like everybody played all their cards basically. So it mostly worked, I think, as intended in my human game. Let's restart the room and go again where I do some more intelligent things with the AI because I think I've been more negative than I want people to have the impression of um, up to this point, and I want to show you how just some small changes can vastly adjust how well they play without changing the experience too much. I'm gonna play the same dragon so that we just have. Actually, maybe I should play Magnifix just to show off new Valaa cards to people. Let's do that. I'm gonna play Magnifix. Let's lock these boards before I do something stupid. Um, I don't. I think I'm going to just keep my board the way it's tilted, but I am going to rotate both of my decks. Perfect. Let's draw these. Yeah, let's show this Dragon Asymmetry. I do not like Magnifix as much, mostly because I think Wrath is very strong, and his Arcane is on Soar. He does not have an Arcane Wrath. I don't love it. I really like being able to draw off Wrath. It seems powerful as hell at the moment. So I'm leaning towards him a little bit. I also like how many wounds he can take. The fact that you can take one wound and still have 4 dice makes you awesome at alpha striking things with crits. Um, there's also a nice cool mechanic in his Valaa deck that you'll see as we play that I also think is very strong. I already have first player. Let's shuffle again and drop a card. Okay, start of the game. What do I want to do? So I could soar. The reason I might want to soar is to. I'm just going to Wrath. One of the nice things about his start position is he can move to a place that's not adjacent to any generals. That matters much more against humans because a general might just come and kill you. Here, the generals don't try and attack you actively unless like you happen to be where the power is. So with this guy, you could get unlucky. Power gets here. This guy attacks you on the second turn. That kind of sucks. Um, Not the case with Magnifix, so I do like that part of his start position, and I think it gives us slight advantage to him in terms of board deploy. Oh, I haven't even played my cards. What am I doing? Okay, let's play Wrath, though. Come on. I'm now, like, obsessed with shuffling these decks. So I'm going to play as I sort of think things should work. Um, all right, pass round. Oh, did I forget to put... Where's the freaking event card? What the hell? Did I put 2 event cards? Where the... There's 10 there. 1 here. There it is. Okay, this... Let's rebuild the stack. Next is Alaria. Randomness is good in the AI. They should be semi-random. You shouldn't be able to predict what they're going to do just like players. But all the options they pick from should be semi-intelligent. Oh, that's not great for Magnifix. Let's get powers. Love it. Wrath, back to hand. Move here. Pray for crits. Magnifix wants those crits all day. You got a crit. That's all he needs. Eat that. Oh, wrong board. Okay, she initiates combat. She's going to move to the peninsula because I hate... Oh, no. She moves towards the closest region. Towards the focused region. So this time, the focused region thing is kind of working as intended, right? It's sending her to where the power is. Good. She gets 2 dice for herself. Oh, and she recruits a unit in her region. So, here's one thing I'm going to make as a difference, right? So now she's going to have... She's going to try and make sets of 3. She's only recruiting 1 unit, though. So, so she can't create another set of 3. Then she moves, and she takes half of her stuff rounded up with her. Okay? She tries as much as possible to make different sets. If she didn't do that, I could take both of these. And that would be worse, right? Because this is 2 different ones, and this is 2 of the same. Harder for her to make sets of 3. So she's going to take this. I think that can be written into the rules with relatively little overhead, and it makes a lot more sense. Now she's 2 dice for the general, and 1 for each of her units, so she rolls 4 dice. She already rolled a crit, though, so I don't need to roll 1 more die. Good for her. Also, now if 2 power spawns here and she harvests, she's going to get both of them. Big advantage. He moves 2 towards the focused region, so he only moves 1. Deploy still makes sense as is. He deploys 3 units. But he deploys a set. So here, this is also a change. I'm deploying a set of units, not random units. Good. This is a buff. Basically, everything I'm going to do to them is a buff, which I think is fine because I kind of kicked their ass by taking 1 turn every time last time. And it's not my favorite experience. Okay, initiate combat actions. That's actually very helpful to me. I hate taking my combat action because it doesn't have a Valaa thing on it. So starting with the player with the initiative, we resolve these. I didn't mention that before. When those come up, player with initiative is who resolves it first. Okay, I rolled a double crit, so I don't need to roll my last die. Oh. Oops, go here. That's going to be great. Now I can harvest next turn. Okay, next to go is Alaria. She wants to get to the focus region. This is the focus region for her. She takes half of her units, which is a sword and this to here, and fights that guy. Nothing. Oof. Wow, bad luck for her. Rolls a retaliation, gets a hit. Her unit goes bye-bye. Alaria's not having a good day. She's going to fight again. She hasn't taken a wound yet, so she doesn't need to retreat, unless I'm mistaken. 1, and then he gets to roll his 1 retaliation. 2 hits. Oh, that's really bad for her. Okay, so she clears out the region of neutral units, but she takes 2 hits. Now she can retreat to Feywoods, so she's not going to die. But let me double check how that works. When a general retreats from... So any hits rolled by the defender immediately deal 1 wound to the attacking force, and the defending force immediately initiate or retreat. This continues until there are no more enemies. Blah, blah, blah. So hits have to go to generals first. A region containing units is friendly. There's a spot that says generals have to take wounds last. Combat, see page 7. Let's see if it says under generals or something. Stealing. If a general would be wounded, a friendly unit in the region is wounded instead. If there are no available units, this attacking player, if applicable, chooses a power. When a wound is dealt to a dragon, place a wound on the token track. The attacking player chooses... Yeah, so he would lose a power and retreat, but he has no power, so it's not that bad actually, because they don't have a wound track. So the general isn't too happy about it, but life moves on. So now the attack action is on Fulgen. So Fulgen will take 1 from the region because there's nothing to fight, and he's already there. The focused region sucks for me now because I would have loved to have this guy go here and fight over it, but now I'm actually in the focused region. So this is very bad luck for me. He's going to move here and take a 3 stack with him, and I am in deep trouble because this is 6 dice against my 4. So there's a decent chance I'll just have to retreat, but I can at least retreat to upper Primillion range and... Right, so here is another example of like, I would have had him take 5 things. In the normal rules, he would take 5 units with him, but I wouldn't form a set. So he would only get 1 more die, but he would use up 2 more units, which I don't think is worth it to him. So he's going to roll 6 and probably beat the crap out of me. 5 crits? Holy hell. Okay, I actually can't. I have to retreat. I am forced to retreat, and I'm just going to spend my next turn healing. I can't do anything else other than that. I'll go to Nahu Woods in case I get lucky and there's something to eat here. That's very bad for me. And my whole wound track is filled. Very, very unlucky. Crits are only 20% of the sides. I would lose power if I had any, but I don't, so. Small favors. Alright, you're not looking too shabby anymore, AI. That's why I don't like sitting next to you. I thought I would be able to redirect him here, but I should have thought that through more. Okay. Let's see if I can mount a comeback. So I'm going to have to rest and recover. If Magnifix is fully wounded when one of your action cards is drawn, during resolution they ignore all glyphs and heal 2 wounds instead. So it doesn't matter what I play, I'm just going to play this normal Soar, because what it really says right now is heal 2. Alright. What I really want to happen is... I forgot to shift this whole deck. What I really want to happen is just... I'm going to heal this round. And end the round, basically, as soon as possible. Because I want there to be stuff here so that I can harvest 2 and heal 2 to heal myself for full next round. That would be the best case scenario. Each player takes a Soar action. Okay, that's for me. I'm going to retreat further to Nahuak. It's just as likely to get power as Nahu Woods right now, and it gets me further from the enemies. Also, I can get back here with a Soar action if power comes here before the general can make it there. Then we go to their resolution. Combat. My god. So, this is sort of interesting. Oh, you know what? Last time, it probably wouldn't have helped their combat much, but I forgot to give her a single recruit last time. So let's say she has 1 more sword. It would have been a cavalry. So now she should recruit again. She'll get a sword this time. Because she has to recruit before she fights. I forgot about that entirely. This is the region. Focus region. Oh, I didn't resolve swords for everybody. I apologize. So she creates an Alar unit in every uncontrolled region adjacent to an Alarian region. So she actually creates a unit here and here. Let me put this back so I know what I'm actually resolving. These are uncontrolled regions, so she gets a lot of regions. Very strong for her. Then Fulgen is going to go. He collects 1 power. And then he's going to go and he creates one in uncontrolled regions adjacent. Too bad for him, he's going second. So he gets 3 to his region, but they're going to be a balanced force. All right. Next, she's going to resolve this card, which is, oh, I shouldn't actually get to see what this is before resolving it. I shouldn't have taken it yet. My apologies. She makes a swordsman. Now, by my new rules, I'm going to say she has to try and make triples where she goes to and leave as many triples behind as possible. So she's going to move these to the region she's attacking. Let's say half from each adjacent region. Rounded up, but, sorry, I guess rounded down, because you want to leave one in each region. Anyways. Move the general closest to the focus region. So she moves these to here and fights Fulgen. She could also move here because both of them get her closer to the focused region, but I break ties and I want them to fight each other, obviously. So she rolls 6 dice against Fulgen. That's 2 crits and 2 hits, and she rolls one more. 4 crits. Holy mother of God. These generals are on the warpath. He takes 4 wounds, and he's going to fight back and then become fully wounded. Because there were 2 normal hits there as well. Yeah, crits are devastating. Crits are a good thing though. They encourage attacking. Games that encourage turtling are not usually, that's not usually a good thing to encourage. So. He rolls back with 2 dice only. He gets 3 hits. Jeez. They are murdering each other. She loses all of her armies. Which is awesome for me. I'm happy to see that. And he's fully wounded. He's forced to retreat. What do they do when they retreat? Do they have to? Do they? Presumably, he would want to retreat to the focus region. So I can actually just make him retreat anywhere, which seems interesting. I'm gonna have him retreat to here, because then he's blocking the general from harvesting power, and they're more likely to try and murder each other. So. He didn't take hits beyond his capacity, so he doesn't lose any power, which is not ideal for me. Okay. So he heals too, and skips his glyphs. This is much more exciting. Some of this has nothing to do with me changing any rules, actually. So he tries to harvest. I'm glad I forced the retreat there, because the harvest fails. And if the harvest fails, place 1 unit in the general's region. Okay. It's not great. I almost feel like he should get more than that, but I'm not super opposed to it, so let's just play that as written for now, because I think I'm mostly okay with it. Still, whenever he generates units or moves units, he should try and form sets of 3. Okay, so he gets 1 unit. That was lucky for me. Magic in the Mountains. That is not good for me, though. Um, I could. Oh, I forgot to heal 2 for myself. Oops. I only have 2 fighting dice. headset's giving me a lot of trouble. Alright, so a bad situation for me. This is a really annoying situation. I need cards pretty badly, but I don't have any power to play them anyways. Um, Realistically, what should I do here? I should probably go here to collect the power. I don't even need to clear the unit because there's only one power to be collected. The only reason to clear the unit would be because I want to get a power from filling up my essence track. Let's go with Arcane Soar here. The reason is because then... Oh, sorry. I haven't started the next round stack yet. The reason is because then if like 2 power appears here or something instead, I can just change my destination. So I don't think Wrath is super beneficial for me. Soar is better for Magnifix anyways. But being able to travel through sea regions makes this very flexible. Right, so I want to be clear. I really do. Oh, I shuffled. That's what I keep doing wrong. I'm just too obsessed with shuffling. That's what I'm messing up here. Okay, now let's put them back in the order they're supposed to go. Sorry, it's becoming muscle memory to shuffle things before I take from them, which is obviously a bad habit. Okay, I don't roll for Dragonbond. Chooses the order. So these guys are gonna roll for Dragonbond, I guess. I'll have Alaria and Fulgen roll first because they're less powerful than Tyveria right now. That's for Fulgen. This is for Alaria. Okay, they're bonded. That could become an issue. But yeah, since Alaria is less powerful, I'd rather buff her. Them only needing 15 to win is a bonus for them. Interesting thing though is that they have the minimum. If the game ends on score, then they actually have the minimum of their 2 scores, which is actually can be quite strong if you can end the game in time. Since I've been ending the game on time, this really isn't so bad for me. But I'm hopeful that Tyveria will attack Fulgen and make him lose power at some point. Steal the power from him. Okay, there's no other generals adjacent to dragons, so that's done. Arcane Source. I'm still going here, and I'm drawing a card. Since the power dynamics didn't change very much. The alternative is I could go to Feywoods. Let's do that instead, actually. So I go to Feywoods, mainly because that's not next to Tyveria, who's scary strong. And I draw one. What did I get? Swiftwing. Move to an adjacent region. You may spend 1 power to get... These are awesome. So this is one thing I do like about him is he can spend power to keep Valaa cards in hand. Very flexible. Also, these minor effects, having small effects that you can pay 1 for is actually pretty sweet. So, good. That's me. Because as you saw last game, I got like all my Valaa cards, but I didn't even play half of them. So having more cards to play is kind of nice. Deploy. So she deploys 1 in each uncontrolled region adjacent to her, which is none of them. She moves to uh, let's see the order on this. Create an Alarian unit in every uncontrolled region adjacent to Alarian region. Move the Alarian general to the region closest to the focus region. So this is an Alarian region, I believe, because she is there. There's still some ambiguity in my mind as to whether she's a unit. Because sometimes she acts like one and other times she does not. Like there's cards that say destroy all units, which definitely doesn't mean kill all the generals, but anyway, so she just makes 3 units, which she kind of needed. Okay, he wants to soar. That probably means he collects power. Yeah, so he collects a power. He deploys, so he gets 3 more units. Yeah, he's gonna have a doom stack again. And we'll hopefully start fighting the other AI, because I kind of need him to do that. I don't want to fight him, that's for sure. And because they come in sets of 3s, it's gonna be extra scary. Alright. That is excellent for me. Trade Road and Alaria. So we're going to put 2 here. And 2 in Trade Road. I need to pray that she does not draw Harvest. There's a 20% chance she draws Harvest, in which case I'm in huge trouble. I think what I need to do is I need to harvest my current region, get back to full no wounds, and then next round, and then I'll use one of my power to move. I don't even need to use my power. I'll Wrath over to here to kill these. So yeah, we're going to use Arcane Horde as our first card for next round. I may need to draw this game out a little bit to win, unlike the last one. How does the Dragonbond thing work? Once bonded, immediately gains 2 power tokens on her track. Right, I forgot that their Dragon Bonded abilities are... Okay, so he no longer takes wounds. It doesn't say he heals his wounds, but he no longer takes wounds. So these can go away, because those are the player Dragon Bonded abilities. And she should have gotten 2 power immediately. That's fine though. I'm gunning to end on score, so it should just be the minimum of their powers that it matters. So he no longer takes wounds, and she got 2 power. Good. Sorry I messed that up, but it didn't affect anything. Okay, first thing I do is I hoard. Oh, what am I talking about? I haven't played any other cards. Sorry. Trying to play these games as fast as possible while explaining things is messing up my order of operations a little bit, but alright. To where I am, ooh, that's not what I wanted. And 2 in Nahu Woods. That's a bad card for me right now. Makes my region a focused region. Actually, I harvest though. Now it's no longer the focused region. Okay, so I get 1, and I immediately spend it to heal 2. Now because that's from the harvest action. Sorry, horde action. Then I will draw 1 Valak card. Heal 1 wound. You may spend 1 power to keep this Valak card. What I really want is the one that lets me collect power. That's awesome. But yeah, I really like his cool mechanic of being able to optionally spend to keep them. Deploy. She gets 3 units. Soar. He takes a power. You know what? He's not in the focused region. But I think that's kind of silly. I think if he's somewhere that he could get power. Oh, I don't know. I guess he stops the. Let's play that one as written because I don't know if that's good or bad. But the fact that he travels to the focused region is a little bit weird because like he just wants to gain power as much as possible. It's fine. He moves to the focused region. I think it's okay. I think that one's fine as written. And Tyveria hordes, which is excellent for them, they're going to get 4. Alright, I am doing real bad this game. Big disadvantage. That makes it fun. Power tokens there and there. Oh, what did I do? Nobody wants a linear algebra review right now. Thank you, game. Oh, I actually messed up. One of the times she got these units, she should have just played one unit in Nahuak because it's uncontrolled and it's adjacent to Nahu Woods. So I'm going to take back 2 of her units. Nothing's really happened with those units in a while though, so it's not a big deal. And the other 2 power go up here. Alright. Okay, this round I need to Wrath. And I think I will collect power. I think I will draw the game out just a little bit. Because I'm in deep trouble right now. I'm going to have to Wrath. I could Wrath here. That is the first thing I need to do, because if she harvests, I need to make sure she doesn't get 2 power from that, or it'd be a disaster. So then I Arcane Horde. The only question is whether I should come back here to get these 2 power this round. The answer is probably I should Wrath and Horde again. Okay, so that was my... Which one is this? This is Horde, right? Yep. So they're going again. I need time. Wrath again. It could either come back here, or we have not seen this card yet, have we? Let's search this stack. Right. We haven't seen that card yet. If that's at the top of the stack, I can Wrath over to there, even if she harvests, and get the 2 there. Good. Okay. They're going to get a lot of turns, but I'm hoping they're going to punch each other a little bit with those turns, so I'm not overly concerned about it. I think, at the very least, I'm unlikely to be the person getting punched. And now I need to play normal Horde, sadly. Alternatively, I could save the Horde action in case the top card isn't this one. What are the chances she's hoarded already by the time that I'm... But after... So she's going to get 2 turns before I can get back here to take power away from this region. So there's a 40% chance she takes one of these power before I can Wrath back there. Huh. I'm okay with that. I'm going to take those odds because I can always Wrath over to here. Oh, but if there's no power there... If I do it next round... I'm gonna risk it. How many cards is she? Oh, yeah. Everyone should be playing their. Good. Okay, now I will pass and take this. Put it on top. Let's see how this went. This is a more interesting round. Finally, 2 power in a bunch of places that are not good for me. So that is bad luck. Well, I only had 25% odds of what I wanted, so that's okay. I can accept that. This, I come to here, roll 4 dice, try to get 2 crits. I have 1 hit. I don't even have 2 hits. Okay, double crit on the last roll. That was very fortunate. These goes in my essence track. Essence track spills over and ends with 1 unit on it, which I'll make the cavalry. And I get a power. A desperately needed power. I think actually this'll all work out. All right, this comes to hand. Battle. That's very good. She gets 1, which will be a swordsman. By my new rules, she moves half of her army. Let's say rounded down. Tries to make sets in the focused region. Right, she recruits 1. Becomes a battlefield, but she's dragon bonded to this dragon, so doesn't help her. I need to get lucky one more time. Attack, and then a Valaa action. Okay, he initiates combat, which does nothing. Now it says spend 2 power. If that power was spent, roll a combat die for each center, deal a hit to Fulgen into each force and dragon in a region adjacent to a mountain. Heal 1 wound. Then, if possible, spend 2 power. Okay, so he heals 1 wound. It's very good for him. He can spend 2 power. Roll a combat die for each standard critical hit. Okay, that's fine. That seems to include his Dragonbond in general, which is kind of interesting. So he spends 2 power, rolls a combat die, and hopefully hits his own general, which would be hilarious. It seems like garbage for him. He rolled no hits, which is very unfortunate for me, because he would have just cleared all these regions of his own friends. Okay, that feels like a sort of random ability that could be quite good or quite bad. Combat, that's good now. He wants to move towards focused region. I'm going to break tie with this one. He attacks over a mountain, so they're going to cancel 1 hit. But he takes half his force with him, which is very significant. I'm not going to move them now. I'm going to move them to here, just as the in-combat guys, because that region is going to be super full until some stuff dies. He's going to get this, and this, and this maybe? No. He needs to leave 1 behind, because it's going to be half. He'll leave 1 cavalry behind, I guess. So he's going to get 5, 6, 7, 8 dice. And he's going to start with combat against Fulgen. No longer takes wounds. How does that make any sense, though? How does combat with Fulgen ever end? Does he just win all combats? That doesn't make any sense. No longer takes wounds. Okay. Here's how I'm gonna play this. It says he can no longer take wounds. That literally means he's invincible in combat. If anyone initiates combat with him, they would fight him until he just eventually wins. Right? It does. It's weird. So certainly he. Sorry about that. I think what it should say is any wounds gained this turn go away at the end of the turn or something like that. So that's how I'm going to play it. So he's going to play the combat with 3 dice. Um, this guy has 5 plus 1, 6, 7, 8. Right. So roll these. Okay, that's 1, 2, 2 immediate hits. He rolls 3 more dice and enough hits to kill him and steal a power. 4 immediate hits. No, 3 immediate hits, right? And then yeah. Okay. So he goes down to 0 before he can strike back. I wish there was a back button because I don't actually remember how many crits I rolled initially. I think it's at 4 crits right now. Oh wait, let's just redo the combat because I can't remember, and this is actually important. Okay, 3 crits, nothing else. Roll 3 dice. 1 crit. Okay. Fulgen takes 4 wounds, but they're temporary wounds, let's say, because of the Dragonbond, because I have no clue how that's supposed to work. He retreats to a place of my choosing. Honestly, I feel like he should retreat towards focused region, but whatever. Let's not deal with that at the moment. I think it's going to be fine as is. Now he fights her, and he stole 1 power from Fulgen. I think it should also say when Faceless steal, they always steal unspent power first. Okay, now he's going to fight the general. Kind of hope the other general wins, but probably not. 4 hits, but no crits. 5 hits and 1 crit. So she's going to lose and lose power. Losing 1 unit is a big deal for her, because now she only rolls 4. She got 4 hits, so he loses 4 of his guys. But she loses all of hers and 1 power to him. So Tyveria is now the one to beat. A lot of his power is spent now, though. So maybe they should just try and leave at most 3 units behind. Because I think it's kind of excessive to have any... But like having a set of 3 to defend a region is very strong. Okay, he can use a Valaa action, I believe, which is spend 2 and move directly to the focus region. Then place 3 Tyverian units there and initiate combat. But there's no combat to be initiated unless I move him to somewhere else. I think I want to move him to the Feywoods. So she needs to retreat. I'll have her retreat to here. The focused region is actually his own region, right? He has to not move because it's closest. He creates 3 units of balanced force. Spent 2 power doing that. Okay, I'm going to Arcane Horde. I get these. Question of the day is, do I want to play a Valaa card or draw a Valaa card? Healing 1 wound is useless. The only question is whether I want to move. I think it's not worthwhile because I'd probably just want to attack Feywoods next. And take the power from there. So I will draw a card because there are still some very good cards in here. Willing sacrifice is very good. Very, very good. Okay, she deploys. That's perfect timing for me, I think. So she puts 1 unit in my region because there's nothing there. And I believe then she moves 1 towards the focused region, but she's in the focused region. Also, she can't move to any friendly regions because they're all disconnected right now. Oh, actually, I guess they can teleport via deploy. They can move to... That makes sense for the AI. Actually, that's a good thing that they're allowed to cheat on. Okay, Fulgen wants to hoard, which is going to do literally nothing for him, I think. 1 towards the focused region. Okay, good. Collect 1 power from Fulgen's new region. That's actually also good. Okay, so he is going to move to here and take 1 away from a potential Tyveria harvest, which is very beneficial for me. And then a Valaa action again, which is he spends his last 2 power to roll a die and kill a bunch of stuff for me. He misses again. Jeez. Okay, fine. Alright, so he's going to move towards the focused region, which is one of these 3, so I pick. I don't want him to fight the other general, because I don't want him to gain more power than necessary. In fact, I think what I want him to do is go here, so that I can fight him. So he gets 1 unit. Which has to be an archer or a cavalry. He takes... if he goes here, how much is he going to be fighting with? There's a decent chance he just crits right out the gate. It's going to be like an even-ish fight. I'm probably going to take a hell of a beating. He's going to have 6 dice, probably one-shot this, then I would fight him with 6 dice, which does not sound appealing to me at all. So we're going to have him move here. He crits. That's all that matters. He created his 1 unit and then did the move. Good. Okay. That's Tyveria. Now it's me. I get to go kill these guys. And I roll how many dice? 4 dice. Try and get an alpha strike. No crit yet. 2 crits. Dead. Okay, she gets a unit. This is one I would have said that, if she's in the focus region, I feel like she should collect maybe just 1 power from the focused region or something, because right now, the fact that she just leaves, I guess she leaves troops there, so it's not all bad. It's really janky if she doesn't collect power. As we saw from last game, she gets like stuck on peninsulas and stuff. So let's just say if she's in, let's see. Because like what if the focused region is on the other side of the map and she's in a region with some power, but it's not the focused region? It's sort of weird. This is a hard one to decide how to resolve. Move the general to the adjacent region close to the region of the battlefield. See, deploy is what teleports her to near the focused region. But I feel like basically if there's power where she's at, maybe she should just take 1 of it, get a unit and take 1. The problem is like if they don't harvest, they basically just lose the game. They, I understand that harvest is supposed to be the way generals get power, but I feel like she should be able to at least harvest her own region with it's sort of how like harvest, if no power is collected, place one unit in the general's region. If she can't attack the focused region from being adjacent, then I think she should collect a power. In this case though, there's an adjacent region that has at least as much power. But that's the weird thing. It's not the focused region. Her region is the focused region because she's closest to it. So I think basically if she's in the focus, if she can't move to the focused region from her current region, if she's in the focused region, she should just, I guess, collect power. And there's no dragon there. Then I would want her to collect the power and just harvest there. If there was a dragon there, she has to fight the dragon, I think. Um, if she can move to an adjacent region, that if she can move to the focus region from where she's at, which is reasonably common, she should probably have to. And fight. And if she can't, she should move one towards it. There's a lot of conditions though. This is the problem with making intelligent AI. Assault is going to be the hardest one to resolve intelligently, while also making it understandable. But right now, I just think it's kind of she can attack Tyveria here. I feel like Assault should trigger combat as long as it's somewhat intelligent. And right now, it's actually somewhat intelligent to attack Tyveria. So I'm going to have her do that. And we'll just see how that goes. It's not going to go well for her. But, so she rolls 3 dice. If she doesn't get a crit, she's in big trouble. Oh, she got double crit. That's huge for her. So Tyveria loses 2 right out the gate. Because has as much power as her region. So I think it's fair for her to go and attack it. But if her region has more, I feel like she should just harvest in her region alone. He's now in trouble, so he's going to roll 3 dice in retaliation. He gets 4 hits. Holy crap. Okay, so she takes 1 hit, has to retreat, and loses 1 power to him. Yeah, Tyveria is becoming a problem. It's kind of funny because he's not even the Dragonbond player. Soar. Oh my god, Fulgin, can you please attack Tyveria? You're killing me here. He's not in the focused region, so he moves to the focused region, which I will make this one, so that Tyveria can't harvest it. He could also technically move here. I break ties, because these are both closest. He can also move to me, but like, why would I want to do that? Okay, he's going to deploy, which is not so good for me, because he's going to put a unit here, which makes my horde less effective. So he moves to a Tyverian region closest to the focus, but that's his own, so he doesn't move. I horde, I get 1. 1 is better than none though. I've made a comeback, which is nice. It's too bad it's not Arcane Horde, because I kind of wanted to play a card here. So deploy for her is going to put 3 in her region, which she desperately needs. Soar, he's in the focused region, so he gains 1. Dude, can you please attack him? You're killing me here. Deploy, and then... so he's going to place 3 in his own region. Oh my god, he's going to hit Fulgin for like 1,000,000. This is not going well. He gets 3 units in his region. And he fights Fulgin with the... So spend 2 power, move directly to the focus region. That's not this anymore, actually. So he's going to move immediately to the focus region, which I'm going to say is this one. Actually, that's the only option. Has to be closest with the most power. So he moves directly here. He gains 3 units and then fights. That's excellent for me because he might actually lose this fight. He can't make many sets. So I can still do some gaming of the sets of units, but at least I can't do as much with the rules if I have to deploy trying to make sets of 3. My strategy has been use up something as quickly as possible, which I did. I used up his swordsman, so he can't make sets anymore. Sorry, we're still resolving this. My bad. Okay, so he fights with only 5 dice. 2 hits. He's in trouble. She gets 7 dice. Okay, so 2 hits. I'm going to record those like this somehow. 7 dice for her. So 2 hits, and then roll this, roll this. 5 hits. Oh, he gets slaughtered. Okay, she steals a power from him. He is forced to retreat to an adjacent region, which I'll make to be the one with Fulgen in it. He loses all his troops. I believe, so stealing, there's a max of 1 loss. He only got 2 hits, and they were regular hits. So she loses, let's say, cavalry and an archer. That worked out very well for me. Did I steal the power yet? I don't think so. She had... Maybe I did steal it. Since I forgot, I'm just going to do the one that's worse for me, which is this. Take a Valaa action. What happened to my horde action? Did I forget to... I forgot to take a power from my area. Oops. Because there were only 2 here, so there's no way that it could be this way. Each player takes a Valaa action, if able. He can't. She can, though. Spend 2. So she's going to do her own teleport. She has the same Valaa action. It'd be cool to see if they could have different Valaa actions for some asymmetry, just like how the dragons, I believe, have different Valaa actions. So she needs to teleport to the focused region. She's in the focused region. Okay, so she just deploys 3 and initiates combat here. I think that's kind of fine. That doesn't really need a rewording. Just getting 3 units is powerful enough to some degree, so... She wants to make sets. She wants to even out the unit count as much as possible, so she has to get 2 cavalry and 2 archers. Just that roll alone is so helpful to the AI. Evening out unit counts as much as possible when recruiting. Okay, what does Fulgen do? Heals a wound. Spend 2 power to do... He can't spend 2 power. He heals a wound, though. I'm not sure if when he Dragonbonds he should heal his whole track, but I kind of feel he shouldn't. It's already pretty strong if he heals all his new wounds at the end of each. Any wounds he took this turn being removed at the end of the turn is already pretty powerful. Turn, not round. Like just every turn. He can keep initiating combat at full combat. It would be super strong. But even if he full healed, it wouldn't be that bad. And if he healed nothing, maybe give him a power or something. I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could be worded, but this one does not make sense. No longer wounds. Like, you just can't beat him. Then he just kills you. Because AI never retreat. So they would just fight him until they lose all their stuff. Unless I'm mistaken. You know, I could always be mistaken with these sort of things. Okay, last round of the game. I'm back ahead, so I feel much more secure right now. What I really want to be doing is so how much can they get from harvest? That's sort of the important thing. If Tyveria harvests, so she can get 4. She'll gain 4 if she harvests, which will put her at 6. It's not enough to beat me if I take this and end at 7. what I would do for an Arcane Wrath right now. I'd love to Wrath over to here, kill one to gain a power, and then play my card to pick up another power. There's so many things I feel like I can't gain as much power this round as I would really like to, so I'm just trying to end it right now. Alaria can't beat me in one turn. Tyveria probably can. They can't harvest here because of Fulgen. They get one here. They can't harvest my region either, actually. I think I win. In fact, I can move here using my card so that Alaria can't harvest. It's going to depend what this card is. Alaria or Tyveria may be able to beat me with a harvest action. It depends where it can still spawn power. This deck is public knowledge as far as I'm concerned, because like you could memorize it, but I'm too lazy. I think the unharvested regions is the peninsula. I think the peninsula is where the last stuff is going to come. What else has the Erosi jungle has not happened. The north already happened. This has not happened. This has not triggered. What are the last two cards? That's the question of the day. Valaa action. All of the events have triggered. Magic in the Mountains. Did that trigger? Might be Magic in the Mountains. That's actually kind of bad for me. Sorry. No. Magic in the Mountains is good for me because Magic in the Mountains means I'll get two. One from Harvest and one from a card play. That'd put me at 7. And that would increase their harvests by, it would get him to get 1, 2, 3, which would put him at 8. That would beat me. No, it wouldn't. Not if I harvest 2, actually. So, okay, that's fine. If Magic in the Mountains is first, it's fine. She'd get an extra, but I would get an extra, so that's also fine. Putting 2 here and 2 here is great because they're neutral. So they're not going to get those in one turn. Yep, pretty sure I win. Okay, we'll play Arcane Horde. Neutral units in empty regions, or neutral regions. So these get extra guys has basically no impact. I forgot about that. So I guess something that I thought was played has already happened. Whatever, doesn't matter. I I hoard this, and then who do I need to smother more? He can get 2 power and go up to 7. She's gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power and also go up to 7. Um, This is the focused region is here, so he will attack her if possible. So she might. I don't know who would win that is part of the problem. She would probably win actually. So he is more likely to lose power to her than the other way around. So I would like to deny her a harvest. Fulgen can't win. They're so close to beating me on points though after a harvest. Like she's gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's gonna be at 7. They actually could win. So I almost messed up here. I need to play Swift Wing, and I'll spend 2 power to keep it. Like why not? To put it back in hand to go here. This denies her a harvest there. So even if Fulgen harvests and she harvests, if that happened, they would actually get 15 and win the game. But that's not what happened. She gets 3 units. Teleports to where there's stuff, which is here. She tries to make sets. She can't make a set anyways. Soar. He's not in the focused region. Closest region is this one, so he goes there. Attack. So he attacks here. He has to fight everyone and their moms. Let's have him fight Fulgen first. Let's have him fight the army first, actually. So he does not bring everything because he should. I feel like in a situation like this, he wants to bring as many sets of. Maybe he should bring sets of 3, but round those. I still do feel like doom stacking is the wrong way to do it. I don't think them leaving a single guy in each region is great. I think them leaving 2 or 3 in a region is better. But in situations like this, obviously he wants to take more stuff, and it's just hard to like program that in without it getting too complicated. But let's just play by what I was playing by, which is half. So he takes half with him. He only has 4 dice, so he's going to fight Fulgen first, and no. She's almost certainly going to steal from him. Oh, she already took her turn and she didn't harvest, so he'll fight her. Yeah, yeah, of course. Because their score is going to be the minimum of their 2 scores. So he only rolls 4. Hopefully gets a big alpha strike. He gets 6 hits, but it's not gonna. He's gonna be dead in a second. They're both gonna be dead in a second. Um, she rolls a million dice in retaliation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dice. 1 hit, 3 hit. Oh my god. This is a pathetic fight. 3 hits. So he does have to retreat. He does lose a power to her. She then takes 6 hits though, and loses like most of her army. But once again, because of the rule that she tries to keep balanced force, she's at least not going to lose the swordsman and lose her bonus. That's 4. No, she'll lose her bonus anyways because she lost too many things. But you get the point. If she doesn't take too many wounds, she doesn't lose the bonus. Okay, good. Valaa action he can't take because he doesn't have enough unspent power. Year of Plenty. Where the hell is Magic in the Mountains? I guess I just missed it when I reviewed the deck. Doesn't matter. Some happy neutral units get some power. And that's the game. And I win with 7. Okay, that was way more interesting. I still don't feel the AI are super hard. I feel like I sort of misplayed early on, got unlucky with how many crits they rolled, and still came back and won. So I don't feel like I'm gonna be challenged all the time by this AI. I do feel this game was much more dynamic, and there's sort of 2 reasons. One is just luck. One is that like people were just in more interesting places. But I think the important thing isn't necessarily to make the Faceless harder, but to make them more consistently do stuff that matters, right? Like I tried to make them do in this game. I'm not as convinced about the moving tons of units at once as I was when I started that idea. I do think them trying to leave a little bit of a garrison, both for harvesting more stuff and for making their stuff harder to take, and because too big of a doom stack just doesn't matter, is a good idea. But I don't know exactly how many units it should be. And I completely think that they should try to maintain sets of 3 whenever possible. I think that like absolutely is just a straight buff to the generals, and they need it. Um, let's see. I think that assault be having an alternative way to get them power is really valuable. The generals just don't gain power in enough different ways. This dragon can literally gain power off 3 of his actions. That is kind of, I think, how the general should work to some degree. I think they should gain power off at least assault when they would just do nothing off it otherwise. So I think those small tweaks, though, could help the AI feel like they're doing more all the time. So I think that just the most important thing would just be some small tweaks to clarity and consistency of the AI. But overall, I think they're relatively easy to run. I mean, running 3 AI in some games is like an absolute nightmare and just not even fun. This was relatively straightforward. Took about an hour to play the game. Um, yeah, and I think that was very nice. So yeah, overall impressions of the game very positive. As I said, I'm comparing to like Mare Nostrum and Root. This is definitely up there with Mare Nostrum um, as one of my favorite lighter war games. That one, its biggest pro is like the trade system, which if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's a cool game. also a very reasonable price entry point like this game. Um, I think that I'm glad to hear that both the Dragonbond mechanic and Faceless um, and Faceless players, when you have other real players, it sounds like there's going to be variant rules for removing the Dragonbond mechanic and for removing Faceless players if you don't want them in a multiplayer game. Mare Nostrum does a very good job of basically I don't know if they're just going to cut those things off the map, or they might do something like Mare Nostrum did, where basically you cover part of the map as not usable based on how many players and which factions are in the game. It's a really nice system. You can look up how they handle variable player numbers for such a tight, light war game, and I think they did a very good job, and something similar could maybe be emulated here. Um, but no matter how they do it, I just like that they give that option. As far as my impressions, I'll also give some impressions from the game I didn't stream, which was with two of my friends who are they play like Twilight Imperium tournaments every week. I mean, they're super into war games, but they also like Mare Nostrum a lot. Um, their impressions were generally quite favorable. Um, one of them, neither of them like basically the only mechanics that we were all neutral to negative on was Faceless and Dragonbond. We're sort of neutral mostly on the Faceless. I think but the tweaks would, I think, make people more favorable about them. Doesn't mean we'd play with them if we had enough players, but still. Um, this game actually ran better solo than I thought it would, so I'm happy about that. Um, the other thing they didn't like was they don't like the Dragon Ball mechanic really, mostly the randomness of it. You know, the Dragon Ball mechanic, think about how much it affected this game. It had some effect, but not a huge amount. It did almost end the game in a different way, so that was cool. With real players, though, especially, like I think the Dragon Ball mechanic should be random for AI. AI should be rolling dice to see if they Dragon Bond. But like, one of those two people doesn't like shared victories, so he's kind of never going to like the Dragon Ball mechanic. That's totally fine. It's not made for him. For the other two of us, I think we could just be convinced that it's. I would like it, actively think positively about it, and my other friend I think wouldn't be negative about it, but just be kind of neutral and to positive if it was player choice. Forced friendship is a really weird thing. Another big problem with it from our perspective was that if I have 7 power and my friend has 8 power, and we move into a place together and just flip to Dragon Bond, we just end the game instantly. And it's very weird that you could just like sort of pick to end the game immediately. So some recommendations that I said in like the Kickstarter comments was basically a couple of things. One, personally, I think this is going to be more divisive. I think forced friendship is weird. I think optional friendship is awesome. Optional team victories I think are really cool. So I think when right now you would have the choice, you would have to roll a dice for Dragon Bond. That should be a time for both players. They have to actively agree to Dragon Bond, and then they would. They said it's something like not lore friendly somehow, so maybe they'll never do that. But I think it would be a cool either primary way to play the mechanic or at least alternative rule. One thing I think should be there though all the time, even if you're rolling to see Dragon Bond, is if two players Dragon Bond, I think there should be two limiting factors. But I mean, take my advice with a grain of salt. You know, they have play tested the hell out of this game. I've played it 3 times. Um, but I do play a lot of games, and so I have some perspectives from some other games. But still, I'm sure they play a lot of games as well. I think that you should not be able to win in the same round you Dragon Bond. Usually, a game ends immediately as soon as a player has 10 or a team has 15. But the fact that the bar lowers from 20 to 15, or for 2 people, it's a good thing because I think it makes it also a sort of catch-up mechanic for a team against one power player. I like that actually, even though I'm usually the player getting teamed up on. But it was weird because my friend in our game, my friend basically just stopped playing the game. He just chased me around the map because he knew I was going to win, and he had 5 power, and I was about to get 10. So he just chased me around the map, and the team was like, "Yeah, you can spend power though to reroll the die and make it less likely they'll Dragon Ball with you." Yeah, but you need those the Vala cards are very powerful, and if you're not spending power on Vala cards, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So to avoid Dragon Bonding, what like I just don't get to play Vala cards much anymore. And I did save power. I actually saved a power to avoid Dragon Bonding him, but he also saved like a million power to do that. He saved even more than I did because he had no point in playing the game anymore other than to chase me around the map. Um, and he just chased me around the map and rolled and rolled and rolled. he rolled so many times, and I got a hit and then re-rolled it and got another hit, so I had to bond him, and we team won. And I didn't mind that much. It just felt kind of silly, and it felt like it took us out of the game and took attention away from this excellent, really well crafted light war game for him just like chasing me around the map. So I think that if it was optional, then instead what he would have done is something much more interesting, which is he would have bonded the other player who was doing poorly. Or the AI, I think, in that case, because he was a general and the other AI was a dragon. Yeah. So he might have bonded the AI, and then oh no, 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 wait. Yeah, he would have bonded the other player because he was a general and the other player was a dragon, and then they could have fought me together, and that makes much more sense in some sense to me. So I think that to avoid situations like that, I think that's one of the reasons that non-random dragon bonding would be a huge benefit. But also the fact that we then were just immediately able to win is as soon as he bonded me, I resolved my horde action and won the game for both of us with my 10 power and his 5. I think that if players bond optionally, even like if they choose to bond, the players should not be able to win until they've resolved an entire full round. I think like players who bond should not be able to trigger end game by having 15 power until the end of the round after they dragon bonded. Um, because maybe at the end of round 4 they dragon bond and then they play all of round 5, which can still be only one turn. Remember, you could just pass after playing one card. It's not that long to go a whole extra round, but it gives people a chance, right? The other thing is I think you should collectively reduce yourself to 12 power. Like if I have 7 and my ally has 5, sorry, and my ally has 6, then, the person with 7 should have to lose 1. It could be from spent power, but I think you just need to offer some window of opportunity for counterplay. That still means you can Dragon Bond early game, mid game, or late game, but if you Bond really late game, you give the other team some smattering of a chance. Because, like, it didn't even feel like we played as a team. It felt like we just won because we had enough power and he forced me to Dragon Bond him. So one way you can avoid this is you could just cut Dragon Bonding as they are offering in the optional rules, and this will be an excellent game that people I think would be generally happy to play. But I would like to see Dragon Bonding. I like Dragon Bonding. I just don't think it quite functions as intended right now for at least my gaming group where we want to win by whatever means necessary. So we're like, we go and go and go, and then when he saw he couldn't win, he just chased me around the map. And that just felt a bit silly, and I think it's what would happen again if we played Dragon Bonding as rules is written again. Um, so yeah, those are some of my thoughts on it. Overall, very positive about the game. Dragon Bonding and um, Faceless, we had mixed opinions about. I really hope that Dragon Bonding has some stuff to stop you from insta winning off it, and that there's one rule set that just says both players have to agree. But to check if an AI agrees to Dragon Bond, they should probably just roll a dice the same way they currently do. Those are my feelings on it. Other people may disagree. All right, the last thing I think is worth doing is let's check out the Kickstarter because I'd like to make some comments on price and stretch goals and stuff for people who are considering what tier they want to back or considering backing it all. I think it's doing quite well. Some people who maybe haven't backed as many board game Kickstarters or Kickstarters in general feel a little like, oh, the progress is so slow now. There's always people like that. The project does best in its first 48 and last 48 hours or 72 hours roughly. So I think this will exceed 200,000 before the end. The stretch goals, if you look at the most recent update, they're going to compact some of the stretch goals in stage 2. Um, it seems likely based on they pitched it as a possibility and asked the community opinion. By the comments I read last night, it was very leaning towards reducing the goals in stage 2, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. So I'm going to kind of presume that that's likely. You can see I'm backing at the $120 level, so I'll put my money where my mouth is. Obviously, I could cancel this, but I'm probably not going to. But yeah, so you can see that I've pledged at 120. Let's see what the pledge tiers are. $50 for the game I just showed you with nothing else. That's awesome. It's very like it's Mare Nostrum is similarly priced or maybe a little bit more expensive. This is a very reasonable price for the game you're getting in the base box, in my opinion. I think this has plenty of content to keep you busy. With if you're a solo player, I think there's some solo players who really enjoy this. I have a very high bar for playing a board game solo. Usually, if I'm going to play a game solo, I'll play a video game, like a strategy video game. But I think this is actually not a bad solo game. If they make some changes to the faceless, um, But since this whole preview has been about solo experience, you've probably seen it, and this stupid headset is killing me. All right, it's back. Good. So yeah, you've at this point you probably looked at it, and let's even if they don't make those changes to the AI themselves, you can house rule it. I don't like having to house rule things like that. I hope they just make some adjustments. But you can, I think you've seen how solo looks, and you're either sold on it, which I think is totally reasonable. I think it's by no means a bad solo experience. It's hard to find good solo board games, in my opinion. So you've probably looked at it, and you either like it or you don't. Um, so that's all I have to say about playing it as solo. But if you have even one friend who wants to play this with you, I think $50 is an awesome price for this game, especially when it comes with the minis are just a cosmetic upgrade. But if you play any war games or have any even minor interest in war games, I think they're likely to hit enough stretch goals that this becomes its own sort of starter box for their tabletop war game. I have not played it, so I will not make any comments to how good it is. I'm not buying it for that. That's just a bonus for me. If you want to, if you're on the fence about this and are trying to make this your tiebreak, I'm sorry that I cannot help you because I just don't know if this, how much value this really adds because I have not played the war game. But I love extra minis to make the map look cooler. Um, and I like war games in general, so I will almost certainly at least try it. Um, but mileage may vary on that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, $50 for the game is fine. And you don't know how available this will be at retail. Like, yeah, it's going to retail. If you want to get it through your game store, I think that's totally reasonable just to support them. But don't expect it to just show up everywhere because it might not. That's my feeling about it. Obviously, you have to pay shipping through here, but yeah, I think $50 is reasonable even if you don't care that much about the war game. Okay, so they've already got some extra upgrade cards, which is excellent. These alternate poses are probably going to be shifted to the very late stretch goals. And what they're going to do instead is just reduce the distance between stretch goals and make these. You get +2 Alarian infantry, but they're the same pose as before until you hit stage 6 stretch goals. It's likely the change that's coming in the near future. So these should be significantly compressed. And then we're likely to get more alternative generals, and there's going to be an add-on for another faction or two. If you've seen the war, I've checked out the war game. I just haven't played it. Um, I know there's two other factions from that war game, so at least one, if not both, are coming as add-ons. As far as current add-ons, there's a what I'm going to call a $30 and $50 add-on, and then this one is both add-ons, but only 60 instead of sorry, only $70 instead of 30 plus 50, which should be 80. So you get a $10 discount on the two add-ons if you do that. These are not gameplay related at the moment. They said they're going to do something with these Gargantuan minis, but I have no idea what. And so I'm not going to talk about these 5e and these Gargantuan minis because this video is already super long. I'm just going to focus on the ones with gameplay elements and talk about whether I think they're worth it. I mean, I'm pledging for it, so I think they're worth it for me, but honestly, are these as good value as the base box? No, I don't think they are. But the base box, I think, is very good value for your money. And if you really like the game, these do add some very interesting content. Legends of Valerna, in particular, seems really cool. These are more like dragons because they don't have armies, but they have slightly different rules. The text, I don't know exactly how they're going to work. I'm excited to read more about those. This guy seems to have some bidding mechanic where other people bid to be your friends, so he sets up like temporary relationships with other players, which is a very cool mechanic in my opinion. And this guy sets a target that he's going to hunt around the map, which is also cool. So they're a little more like dragons because they don't have any like people to command and aren't necessarily trying to control much territory, but they have different unique mechanics. They still use the same glyphs, so it shouldn't be overwhelming to new players. And that's all very, very nice from you. These are the biggest additions in my opinion. These two, they just showed off the actual models because these are placeholder, which look much cooler, especially for this guy. Her final model isn't really shown yet. New generals are cool. I like the idea of having new generals to replace the current Tiveria and other and Alario generals. His sounds particularly interesting because apparently these Valaa cards will go like face on the map as traps that can affect combat. So those sound cool. Doom token and Alliance token. I guess this is probably for Um, I think the coloring is actually backwards here because this matches Fell Knight, but he sets up alliances. Doom is probably who's getting hunted, so I think this might be a graphical thing. But yeah, you're gonna have a token for marking who you're allied with and who's doomed. So yeah, I think this adds a lot of really interesting variety. It gets you up to 5 and 6 players, which is really nice flexibility for larger groups. So I think it's perfectly worth $30. But you're talking about like, okay, some new optional things versus the whole board plus like the original components. So I do think it's slightly less value for money than the $50 base game gameplay wise, but I think it's still good value for money. I think $30 is totally reasonable for this. So if you're gonna get an expansion, I'd recommend this one personally. This one, I think it's really, as you saw, sometimes power is a bit lacking on the map, but there's still plenty of stuff to do, and rounds can just pass faster if there's nothing. So I don't think the base game is in any way flawed and requires this expansion. $50, you're paying for the minis. The minis are big. That's the thing, and it's not like it's overpriced. It's just, what are you paying for? Are you paying for gameplay, or are you paying for minis? Here, you're paying for minis. They look like they're going to look awesome on the table, and I think they're cool. And I think the gameplay they do bring is really, really nice. However, basically what they do is randomly, based on the upgrade deck, you can watch their video about it because they have a playthrough. I'm not going to go into it because I need to go in like 5 minutes and stop this stream. But basically, you draw cards from the upgrade deck, and sometimes they'll tell you to spawn these neutral guys on the map, and they have their own like combat value and a power reward for killing them, and it just adds more objectives. I think their unique rules make them all feel different. The Wata seemed really cool. The Fey Hydra's special rules seemed really cool. He heals himself between combat rounds. He enslaves neutral units and creates he's like a mini general, like a neutral general. It's really interesting. And so I think those are really cool, and they're simple. Like they're not a million lines of text. It all fits on one card. So I think it's an elegant way to add cool new objectives and some variety to the game. But it's $50 compared to, what this adds for 30. So I do think it's lesser value. On the other hand, when you're getting this and the base game, this becomes $40. So to me, it's worth $40. And I probably would have paid 50 for it, honestly. But that's because I like to have all the stuff for games. But if you're value conscious, it's one of the things to drop. I'm going to get this too. But I think I get that for free because I've backed another project by then. So I think a bigger map will be nice, especially when you're trying to pile minis on. All right, so that's my sort of assessment. That's 2 solo runs. Whew, a lot of stuff here. So that's 2 solo runs. Um, Sort of my initial some interesting mechanics of the game, and my assessment of some of the current pledge tiers, stretch goals. I think we'll hit a lot of the stretch goals. I think they want us to hit a lot of the stretch goals. They're, going to compress stage 2 and move it to a new stage 6 probably. They're using social stretch goals to contribute as extra money. So, I think it's mostly a marketing thing, and we'll hit a lot of interesting goals. So yeah, I've covered those two. And I'll try and add some timestamps to the YouTube version of this so that it is easier to navigate because it is long. Um, and yeah, hopefully, I don't think I saw many people here today. I didn't see any questions in chat. But hopefully if this was helpful to you, um, then please, if you're on YouTube especially, leave a like. Um, and subscribe to either the Twitch or the YouTube. Better to subscribe to the YouTube though, because I may actually stop streaming on Twitch pretty soon. I have more subscribers on Twitch by a decent amount because that's where I've been streaming things like Trials of Fire, but I always upload them to YouTube later because Twitch eventually takes them down. So if you're going to subscribe to one, probably subscribe to the YouTube because this may be the last stream I do on Twitch. I may do them if it's easier to take my recordings and save them permanently to my YouTube by using YouTube for the whole experience, then I probably will in the near future. All right. Thanks anybody for watching. Yeah, like and subscribe if you want more things about. I cover not just the games I'm playing. Like I'm mostly playing Hunt Showdown right now, but there's plenty of other Hunt Showdown streamers. I like to cover board games and video games, mostly strategy games that I think are under talked about, and I will probably do at least one more Lords of Valaa video as the rulebook develops and as more components are revealed and maybe put on Tabletopia. So if you want any more Lords of Valaa content, it's probably coming at some point. But yeah, and leave any comments with any questions. I should get back to those pretty quickly, and I'm happy to answer questions here. And I also lurk on the Kickstarter and might answer some questions there. So that's Lords of Valaa, and thanks for your time, guys. Till next time.